NECA's video game series continues, so today we are going to take a look at the NES video game inspired Godzilla. NECA has so many great licenses, so it's amazing to me how they just keep finding ways to connect these guys back to their original 8-bit video games, and I absolutely adore it. Godzilla is one that I didn't even think about, and I was so excited when I saw him at New York Toy Fair earlier this year. So now that we've got the figure in hand, let's check him out. One of the things that I continue to adore about this line is that packaging that resembles the old NES video game boxes. You can see that the cover of this looks just like the cover of that old game box, featuring an image of Godzilla there. And I also love the little details, such as the fake wear and tear seen around the edges of the box there, and that NES seal of quality in the corner that has been changed into the NECA Toys logo. On the back side of the box, instead of getting screenshots from the video game, we actually have some shots of the included action figure, which is very cool. And just like all those other boxes, it does have a Velcro flap on the front. So when we open it up, we now have a window box that showcases our Godzilla figure within. We've got the same health meter and everything seen on the video game. And on the left flap, we even have a screenshot right out of the game of the little map there. It is awesome looking. Even pulling this out of the box, you'll notice that behind the Godzilla action figure is more of a background from the side-scrolling portions of the Godzilla video game. The boxes themselves are fantastic, they are wonderful display on their own, but we're going to go ahead and open Godzilla up and take a closer look at the action figure within. Now, you'll notice upon removing him that you got some minor assembly required. Because his tail is so long, it did have to be separated to fit him in the box. There's just a ball joint on the end of his tail there, so all you really got to do is kind of line up the tail, kind of work it loose a little bit. It's going to have to be popped onto that ball joint, but once you get it popped in place, it's there to stay. It's not going to fall off, and it is an articulation point that works very well. So there we go. Now we've got our Godzilla outside of the box. Now, NECA has been producing some Godzilla action figures based on the various films, and this guy will fit right in line with some of those other figures released. From the bottom of his feet to the top of his head, he stands nearly 7 inches tall. But that long tail we talked about, if you measure from the tip of that tail all the way to the top of his head there, it is nearly 12 inches in length. So this is a pretty good sized action figure here. The thing that NECA does so well with these is they take their existing molds that are fantastic sculpts and they give them these really crazy paint jobs to mimic the way that their 8-bit sprites looked. And you can see that all throughout this figure. Instead of being that green or that kind of dark olive color that we normally see on Godzilla, he is this really weird light blue color just like we saw in the video game. And there are all these great points on here where you can see kind of going on his shoulders and down his arms, on his legs, where he has these very pixelated kind of light blue marks. And if you flip around to his back there, you got the same thing going on where it's kind of almost a black color and you can see all the blue pixelated marks on there. So he's got that really neat looking pixelated 8-bit sprite look. This is also seen going all through the spikes going down his back. And this is another thing that's really fun about this figure. The spikes on here are new sculpts to resemble the way that the spikes looked in the video game. So he's not just a simple repaint, he actually has some new sculpting, which is a really nice touch by NECA. So if you've not checked out any of the Godzilla figures from NECA before, let's go ahead and talk articulation on this guy. You'll notice that he has a really nice joint at both the base of his head and the bottom portion of his neck. So you can twist that around, you can rotate his head all the way around in the ball joint, turn him left, turn it right. Really good range of motion there. He even looks up very nicely. He also has an articulated jaw, so you can open and close the mouth. You can see fully painted on the inside of his mouth there. He has a pink tongue, white teeth, nice gloss coat on there so it looks a little slimy. Very cool, and that of course helps to really add to the displayability of this guy. He's got ball jointed shoulders so you can move the arms upwards, forwards, backwards. You can swivel the arms around there. You can swivel them at the elbow as well as a standard elbow bend, and you can rotate the wrists, which are on ball joints there. He has a ball joint at his upper body, and you can see the spikes are split there too, so they don't really hinder the articulation. You can move his upper body left and right, kind of roll it around a little bit there. You got the same ball joints at the thighs, so the legs can go outwards, they can move forwards, backwards, swivels at the knees. You got knee joints that can kind of move forwards and backwards. Mostly you're just going to swivel the legs there though. And then you got the same ball joints at the ankles. And then what brings us to the tail, where each of these segments going all the way down here is articulated. Look at that. You can swivel them around, and that helps to really add some flexibility. And then that last piece that we attached is just on a standard ball joint, so it just kind of swivels around there. But it's amazing the way that we can really flex and bend that tail around to get some very cool poses out of this guy. So putting this guy on the shelf with the rest of the NES video game figures from NECA is quite an amazing sight. To think that this all started with just a crazy San Diego Comic-Con exclusive of the Friday the 13th Jason, and has now just grown to include such a wide array of different kinds of characters, all based on old Nintendo or Super Nintendo or even Master System games, is astounding. And I love it. This has become one of my favorite collections because of how weird and kooky and just plain unique it is. And I cannot wait to see what else NECA has in store for this lineup. So there you go, my friends. There is a look at the brand new Godzilla inspired by the old NES video game from NECA Toys. This guy is hitting store shelves right now. So happy hunting, my friends. And until next time.